Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Take two. You are tuned into another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are now live on Facebook and YouTube. We are live at those two locations every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to click that like button and click that subscribe button so that you're notified every time we go live. But that's when you hit that notification bell. That's the notification for live. I'm very flustered. It's been a shit show already. But hey, let's just do a goddamn show. Let's bring on AJ. We've wasted enough time. Screw the intro.
You know what?
Enough is enough.
That's not a bad way to start this show, actually, because I'll tell you what, this season was kind of a shit show. So,
You think?
spoiler, we're going to talk about Mandalorian Season 3 on this episode. You can get your own customizable Nerf Herder Council gear at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. And we are brought to you by Audible. You can go to audibletrial.com/NAC for your free trial and a 30-day. I screwed it up. See, I'm not prepared for this stuff here. Anyway, you get a free audiobook. Get free stuff. Help the show.
Yeah, get free stuff. Kale McLeish, good to see you, man. He says, what happened? No idea. We started the show, and all of a sudden it said that the shows got deleted off of Facebook. I have no idea why, so I just went in and made a new show. Fuck them. Delete my show, will you? Well, I'll make another one. Joseph Wren, good to see you. He says, I blame Steve. That's good. So as AJ
Absolutely. Blame
said,
the guy who's not here.
exactly. So as AJ said, let's get rolling on this here since we wasted a little bit of time with tech problems at the beginning. As AJ said, we are going to be discussing The Mandalorian Season 3. I am not going to agree with you that this season was a shit show. I watched it, obviously, each night that it came out, and over the last couple days, I rewatched most of the season. I was obviously familiar with the last two episodes. I think there was a little bit of filler stuff in here, so I think maybe that's where you're going with it. But I kind of thought to myself as I was watching it literally about an hour before we tried to go live the first time, I think they have to have some of that stuff, because if you just burn all of your great story ideas right, I mean, immediately you're going to eventually start, the wheels are going to fall off. You're not going to be able to keep up all the cool surprises and have some longevity to this thing if you just everything is so damn story dense. You've got to have a little bit of filler here and there. So I don't know if you agree with that, but as much as I don't like those types of episodes, I think it was kind of a necessity. You know what else is a necessity? Unmuting your mic. Man, we are kicking ass tonight. We are awesome at this. We are awesome at podcasting.
Dude, we're fantastic. This is great. No, there was an ambulance drive by, so I decided to politely mute myself and then forgot to unmute. So that's what happens.
Who the hell cares?
This show brought to you by Knob Creek Smoked Maple. Anyway,
smart water.
Yeah, so you remember the season 3 trailer? How it basically focused on the whole thing of like, oh, Din Djarin must be redeemed. He's got to get to Mandalore and bathe in the waters of the mines of Mandalore, or whatever that is.
Yep.
And then they resolved that in 2 episodes. Like, the entire hook of the trailer was like, he's going to go on this great quest. And then it's like, now we're done with that. Like, and the first side quest offered up was like, oh, well, we're going to rebuild IG-11. And then we're like, no, we're not going to do that either. We're going to completely forget that part. Like, we need this memory module. I'm like, oh, okay, so what's going to happen is he's going to be on this like side quest for the memory module for most of the season while he makes his way towards Mandalore or something, right? And instead, it's like they dropped the whole memory module thing entirely, and he's redeemed in 2 episodes. So there's like 6 more episodes of the season. We're like, I have no idea where the hell this is going. And I don't know. To me, it felt like the showrunners didn't either. Like, this had a very Avengers Age of Ultron kind of feel to it. Did you get that vibe? Where like they were so focused on world building and setting up other stories that they kind of lost focus on this one.
Yeah, there's a few things I don't understand why they brought into it. Even on rewatching it, The whole,
Like what?
well, I mean, the giant bird stealing the kid. Like, okay, who gives a shit? Like, what is that? I mean, Kale brings up a great point. He says the longest episode of the season was probably one of the most filler ones. It kind of didn't end up getting anywhere. Yeah, I mean, that episode
Which
with
episode?
Dr. Pershing, the episode with Dr. Pershing, where he gets suckered in by the ex-Imperial. It's like, what the hell was that? Like, I mean, I still can't figure out what was the point. Like, I mean, did she just have to get the, like the cloning stuff or something? Is she trying to see if he's still going to use the cloning technology for the new? I don't know. Maybe she was getting him out of the way, because Moff Gideon had already gotten what he needed. I couldn't tell. I'm like, what is the point of this? And even on rewatching it, because there was some things that I rewatched. I'm like, okay, I get it. The IG-11 thing, they kind of resolved it in the finale, which is pretty cool. And, they kind of, added him to the plot with him being kind of like a go-kart for Grogu. And, would that be a Gro-kart? Anyway,
Nice.
But, so they had some things that seemed kind of weird, but then they paid off. But that one, I really don't, those two things I really don't understand, the whole bird angle and then, the Dr. Pershing episode. It was like, okay, like it just seems like something they could have explained in a lot more concise fashion and gotten on with things. I don't know why the whole Dr. Pershing always in those meetings about, being reconditioned. Like, what's the point? I mean, that being said, though, I mean, to your point about the trailer and what was in the trailer and that, they got done with the Minds of Mandalore thing in 2 episodes. I mean, aren't we kind of used to that, though? I mean, think about all the other stuff we've seen from previous seasons. It's like, and even stuff like Andor and the Book of Boba Fett, the stuff that we see happens in like the first episode. They don't show anything beyond that. So that didn't surprise me. That's just par for the course. So
if anything, it reminds me of the animated trailers. Every time we got a season of the Clone Wars at Celebration or the Bad Batch, the same thing. It's like you get the first 2 episodes, or maybe like the last episode or 2, you get like a snippet of that, and you're just waiting the entire season to see that scene again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, your point is perfect.
About not spoiling anything in the trailers. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, your point is perfect because we were at the Bad Batch trailer at Celebration, and they're like, here's this exclusive footage no one's ever seen. It was the opening scene of episode 1 of season 2. I mean, it was the very first scene. Like, what the hell is that? So, yeah, I mean, I think this season had a little bit more filler stuff in it. I think...
So I think the problems with the season started before the season. Like, let's talk about Grogu in the room. They were split up at the end of season 2. And then they reunite in what I would say is probably the two best episodes of the Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
The major plot thread, the hanging plot thread of season 2 was resolved in another show. Like, that's bizarre. If anyone didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, they come into season 3 and they're like, I thought Grogu was gone. What the hell happened there? Like, that is weird to just say like, oh, well, we expected you to go ahead and, watch this other show. If you didn't watch that, then sorry, that's your problem, not mine.
I don't know. I don't mind that because I kind of think that anybody who was a Boba Fett fan would watch that show. If you were into The Mandalorian and then you saw a show that had another guy that looked like The Mandalorian, you'd watch it. I get your point. I didn't really have that big of a problem with it. So I don't know. I mean, it is weird.
To have a bit of a Marvel problem, though. Like, the latest crop of Marvel stuff is like it's calling on all the other Marvel stuff. So if you don't watch all of it, like I remember going to see Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, and I had to explain Loki to our mother and our brother because they hadn't seen it. And I'm like, oh, this stuff, or WandaVision rather, had to explain WandaVision because they didn't watch that stuff. I'm like, oh, well, this is how it makes sense. This is why Wanda's out in this orchard, pretending to be normal when she's really not, and all that other weird stuff. And I feel like this is kind of the same way where you're like, okay, I'm a fan of The Mandalorian. I can't wait for the new season. oh, wait a minute, stuff happened between seasons and they're not going to explain it? All right. So, I mean, yeah, it wasn't really a big problem for the season, but it was weird to take the big thing of the end of season 2, which was they're split up now. What's going to happen to them? And just be like, nah, it's done. Don't worry about it. Barely a problem. And the whole other cliffhanger of, okay, you've got to be redeemed in the Mines of Mandalore now. Good luck with that, buddy. No, don't worry about it. It's 2 episodes. It's done. Like, they set up these big stakes, and then they pay him off like immediately. So they're kind of like not big stakes now.
But see, I was kind of glad they did that because you can't. I mean, when you bring Moff Gideon in and you've got his robot stormtroopers or whatever, and you got cloning and you got Baby Yoda, like, do I really need an entire season of Mando going spelunking? I mean, that doesn't add anything. I mean, it just doesn't. So I'm kind of glad they did it that way because I was like, man, if this is just going to be him rooting around for an underground swimming pool, this is going to kind of suck. So, I mean, I liked it.
Well, even that. They're talking about how the planet is poison and that's why no one's been back there. And it turns out, no, it's not. That's just bullshit.
Right?
It's just a hard about face. It's almost sequel trilogy-esque the way they seem like they were going a certain way and then they just swept all that aside. Like, well, I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I'm not using conspiracy theories, but it almost feels like they had season 3 plotted out, and then the plug got pulled on Rangers of the New Republic, and they're like, how do we get these story beats in there so we can get Ahsoka going and all the other connective tissue that's supposed to be in that other show that's not going to happen now? That's where you get the Pershing episode, for example.
Dude, I don't know. See, to me, they've built up enough brownie points where I'm concerned to where I'm like, okay, let's see how this all pays off. I mean, it was kind of all over the place this season, but it did reestablish the Mandalorians, reestablish Bo-Katan as the leader. Din Djarin is technically back as a bounty hunter. And again, I'll give it time to see how they pay certain things off. We saw the Gideon clones, so it's like, okay, now who's the bad guy? Is this going to be the introduction of Thrawn? Is this where he comes in because he's obviously we already know he's going to be in Ahsoka, so they're now going to put him in season 4 of The Mandalorian. Are they going to say that one of the Gideon clones survived? Are they going to say Gideon himself survived? This stuff has been so well written and so good that I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. So,
well, have you heard the conspiracy theorists online?
I have not.
I love Star Wars theories. We haven't done an episode like that in years, but people were pointing out that Moff Gideon has a mustache, right? None of his clones had a mustache. And the guy who died had no mustache. So was it a clone that they were fighting and not Gideon himself?
Interesting. Yeah, Kale just said it.
Kale right there.
He said it was Gideon himself that survived. The one they killed had no mustache. See? Wow.
See, that's the thing. They can clone a Force-sensitive being, but can't clone a mustache. That's the giveaway. Facial hair is the hardest part.
That's the one thing
Mr. Pringle will be fucked. There's only
them.
one Mr. Pringle in the universe.
You'd instantly know as a clone. That guy's got no mustache. He's a fake potato chip.
He just looks like Baymax now. What the hell?
Yeah. Baymax, nice. Kaylee says all the clones were clean shaven. Didn't you notice? No, I did not. I don't really catch stuff like that. I get caught up in kind of the bigger picture, and I'm always a little kid going, "Yay, new Star Wars!" And it's like that sort of thing. Generally, I miss it. I've said it many times on the show. I'm one of the few people that missed, Luke Skywalker's feet not making tracks, and in the dust on Crate. I missed that one completely. So, I did not notice that. I'm just like, oh, he killed the clones. That's what I see. So, I kind of see the bigger picture. I tend not to nitpick until I've seen something like a million times. Like now I'll watch the original trilogy and only watch the background. And I'll go, oh shit, never saw that before. Like,
yeah.
So I did not notice that, but I mean, I guess I could see. I guess. Well, all right. Now, back to the cloning. Joseph Friend says it's a cloning trope. They're in tanks of liquid, so they have no hair. Yeah. I agree with that. I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
they're playing fast and loose with the cloning rules anyway, so they pretty much make whatever they want. I mean, right. The Kamins were supposed to be like the expert cloners, and they took like 10 years to grow a 20-year-old clone. And Gideon's like, screw that, man. I've grown these things for 3 months. They're ready. Like,
yeah.
What?
Well, dude, there was a lot of things I kind of didn't. I couldn't figure out like which weapons could cut through Beskar by the end of the finale. I'm like, wait a minute, Beskar, like Mando is like deflecting laser bolts, but all of a sudden he's shooting through these other ones. Like, wait, I'm confused. You know, it's so I caught that sort of thing. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't get, what? What's going on here? So it's not a big deal, but it's like that kind of confused me. But I mean, to your point, I mean,
The only armor sturdier than Beskar in Star Wars is plot armor. That's the real answer.
What the hell is plot armor? Why am I drawing a blank on that?
It's when you can't kill the main character. It's
just,
plot
armor. Okay.
Storytelling wise, yeah.
Okay.
So
I just a plot armor. I was like, what the hell is a plot?
No, so that's why Mando was able to withstand all that punishment, because he had to.
Okay.
The troopers had to be dispatched, so of course they're gonna fall.
Yeah. I mean, see, I could see where you're coming from, that it's a little bit of a spotty season in terms of what they're presenting. It kind of seemed all over the place. And I mean, tonight I watched the episode with Jack Black. Like, what the hell did that have to do with anything? I mean, yeah, I'm not a Jack Black fan, so when I saw him on screen that episode, when that hit, I was like, seriously? Ugh. Thankfully, it was redeemed by having Christopher Lloyd, so that was good. I'll take Christopher Lloyd. But it just was not necessary. And I think there was a little too much of that. But the writing, I thought, was still excellent. They right when they could get cheesy with something, it doesn't. It butts right up against where it would tumble into cheesiness and like eye roll territory, and it doesn't get there. So, little things like, Grogu getting in, the shell of IG-11 and just going, yes, hitting the button. You're like, okay. And then he's stealing fruit and all this. He's doing all, but then all of a sudden they turn it on its ear. And, when Mando's fighting and he's getting his ass kicked, it says no. And it becomes like heroic and serious and, things like that. And so I always find myself watching these, and even in the filler episodes, I found myself watching it going, man, these guys just are really good at writing Star Wars. And it's kind of like what we wished, God, I hate that I'm going to say this. It's kind of like what you wished George Lucas had done with the prequels. I love the prequels. I am an absolute prequel apologist. I love them. But I think if, he went up to that line of, eye roll and went and tumbled over many times, I think if he would have had these guys there to kind of rein him in when working on the prequels, I think that would have really solved a lot of the problems with those films. So yeah, I mean, I think this was the weakest season of Mando so far, but I still think it was excellent. So I mean, I loved it. I still can't believe the look of the show. Even to the point when dude, they brought in Kelleran Beck, for God's sakes. They brought back Ahmed Best, which rules.
That's right?
Yeah, and then they used a character from a kid's game show, so that was cool. And in the chase, when they were escaping the temple, it looked like it was straight out of episode 2. I mean, that's one thing I did notice. I mean, Kale, saying that I don't notice those things. One thing I did notice, and maybe it's just because I'm such a big fan of the prequels, even the lighting looked a little. It looked like it was pulled straight out of Attack of the Clones, and I thought that was cool. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was intentional.
Cal McLeish coming in strong. He says that was great, but no, Ahmed Best was not redeemed. He never needed to be. You're right that he never needed to be, but yeah, the fandom, it's good to see him getting appreciated. It's like when Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor come out for Celebration, and Hayden in particular, like everybody loves the guy now, and it's like, finally,
oh God, yeah,
we can actually appreciate this stuff after the fact. So yeah, Ahmed Best, it's good that he's getting his props now. Finally, that's cool.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, first I was going to say, you said episode 2. I think you meant episode 3, right? The Order 66.
No, I meant episode 2, the speeder chase through Coruscant. How many times have I told you not to?
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's what it looked like.
Sorry,
that's what it looked like to me. So
yeah. No, okay, I get it. No, so one of the things that I really struggled with this season was there was a lack of focus on Mando and Grogu. It kind of shifted to be more towards, they're broadening the scope of the show, like you said, and there was a lot of Bo-Katan stuff in this. Did you like following her story, or would you prefer the story had focused more on our main characters from the first 2 seasons?
I liked it. I mean, I prefer the Mando Grogu thing, but I mean, what are they going to do? It's kind of difficult to say where they're going to go. And reestablishing the Mandalorian culture, I think, is really cool because it's a hugely popular storyline, to most of the fan base. Even people that don't watch the Clone Wars like me, like I knew it was a huge thing. And when you see a bunch of Mandos and stuff like that, it's cool, and it's something that hasn't been explored before. And I like it because all you ever had was Boba Fett and Jango Fett, but you had heard about the Mandalorian Creed, and you know how tough they are, and they don't take off their helmet, this, that, and the other. And even though now you're showing a ton of Mandalorians, I think they didn't lose their mystique, which is cool, because I know you've said, like, in the past, like with the prequels, you didn't like how there's like a million Jedi in the prequels because it kind of loses the coolness of there's just a couple of them. And I never thought so. I just, the more Jedi, the better. But I think, if that's your belief, I think they knocked it out of the park with the Mandalorians in this, because even though, there's a whole bunch more running around now, they still have that mystique, and they've played up the culture of it so much to where it's still, it has weight to it, and it matters. So, the whole thing when Bo-Katan, the armor is like, take off your helmet, and, we got to blend both ways of thinking within the Mandalorian culture, like keep your helmet on or take your helmet off, whatever. Like, we're all Mandalorians. Like, that was pretty cool, and it was a big moment. So I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed a lot of the stuff.
Confused in that moment, the way the armor was. She's the devoutest of devout. She's basically the high priestess of the Children of the Watch, right? And then to Bo-Katan, she's like, yeah, take your helmet off.
Yeah.
Like, what? I thought it was a betrayal. I thought that she was going to turn out to be a turncoat somehow.
Yeah.
Like,
you didn't learn nothing, did you? Man, oh man, first chance you get to take your helmet off and you take it off. Did you learn nothing? You're out again.
Right.
Go back to the mines.
Yeah. Go take a bath. Go see that mythosaur again.
Yeah. I mean, and dude, there's.
How about that?
I was going to bring it up, like an example of the great writing. They show us the mythosaur, but it's not like, oh, it comes up and it's attacking and, oh, it's real. Here's the thing that we've seen for all these years as the Mandalorian symbol. It just, they swim past it. It opens its eye and you're like, oh my God, that's the mythosaur. That's all you get. That was cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in Solo, the way you got the DL-44. I need a weapon. He just throws him a weapon, takes the ends off, puts the gun away. Oh, there's the DL-44. Like, like, you don't need some big blown out, explanation. So I thought it was cool. So I like that. just the whole way they brought back the Mandalorian culture, I thought was awesome. I will say one thing about that though. I mean, at what point is Grogu just going to tumble over forwards? Because he's wearing the chainmail, and then she gave him that, the huge circular thing. She hangs it around his neck. I'm like, I'm picturing in my head him going, eep, eep, flap, like right down on his face as soon as she lets go of the thing,
That's his bling. That's like his Flava Flav costume right there.
It did look like it, didn't it? But instead of a clock, it was.
I thought that was going to come into play. Like in the finale, I thought he was going to like just take one to the chest and be like, "Holy shit, killed Grogu," and then he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm okay. Check it out. I got this thing."
Yep, got some Beskar, bitch.
They gave it to him, and it never came up again. Yeah, he's double Beskar now. He got Beskar chainmail and a Beskar plate. Like that kid is insulated.
Yep.
Like there's nothing getting through that dude at this point, man. Wow.
Yep.
I do love though.
Well, I mean, it's awesome.
I hope over time he gets more and more armor. Like that's kind of like the running quest is him building his armor piece by piece over time.
I mean, I don't know. That part to me, it's. I kind of hope he doesn't get a ton of armor because then it kind of looks a little. I like that they play up more of the fact that his weaponry is more, it's his force sensitivity. Eventually if they put like a helmet on him and all the armor and stuff, I'm like, oh man, come on. Like, I don't want to see that, but I just thought it was like, for example, in the finale when everything's blowing up, but he makes the force bubble, around Din and Bo-Katan and stuff like that, and that's how it's like. I thought that was awesome. That was cool. So I hope that sort of thing continues and not the whole, well, he just collects a bunch of Beskar. Because, let's be honest, eventually, if they did do that, we are going to go, well, come on, dude. Like, how big is he? How much does that shit weigh? Like, he's got to be like, he can't get around or anything. Like, he goes to do one of his jumps and he moves like 4 inches because he's all weighed down with metal and everything. So, I don't know. I kind of hope they don't go that route.
I thought the fireball scene at the end was a nice callback to season 1, actually, because you remember he busted that out against the flame trooper in the bar at the end of season 1, and it just about knocked him out. Like he was drained completely. And this time he's like got a shitload of fire to block, and he does it for longer. And he's like, I just need to sit down for a second. I'm pretty much okay.
Yeah. It's like you see him grow.
I was fearful of though, the influence of Dave Filoni here in the damn series and all the live action appearances of animated characters, I was seriously afraid. And tell me if you were too. Rebels callback. How did Kanan Jarrus go out?
Yeah. I was a little nervous about that.
Seriously afraid that Grogu was going to die, or it was going to be a world between worlds that he would get like pulled out of there by, I don't know, Ahsoka or something. Like that would that would actually be a turnabout because she got pulled out into the world between worlds, and God damn it, you know it's coming. You know it's coming in that Ahsoka series. They're bringing all the Rebel shit back. So I thought that this might be a place when, certain death, how are they going to get out of this one? I didn't think he was going to be able to withstand Fireball. I was like, either he's going to die or it's world between worlds to get him out of this. I did not actually expect them to just be like, okay, fire's gone. Yay, we survived that.
I have to admit that never crossed my mind. I was not thinking in those terms.
Went on and on and on. Like it seemed to be too long. I was like, okay, they're dragging this out because they're gonna hit us with something hard. It's not just gonna be, all right, the fire's gone, which it was. It's like, oh, fire's gone, good.
Yeah,
Grogu, thanks.
It'll go away. Well, here's a good question by Kale. He says, "Hey, question: who actually bailed Moff Gideon out? Because we know he was on that ship and someone busted him out." But no one actually explained that bit. If I had to guess, I think I don't know the character's name, but the woman who betrayed Dr. Pershing, I think it was her. She said like, because she said, "Oh, I."
Her last name. I don't know what her first name is.
Kane.
Eliza
Really?
Kane or something like that, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm terrible with character
All
names.
right, I'll
and
look
this
it
stuff.
up. Keep talking.
But yeah, Kale, if I had to guess, my guess would be her, just because she does say, when she's hanging out with Pershing, oh, like, yeah, I busted into the shipyards before. So that would be my guess, that she got out and did that. I can't really think of anything
Kane.
else that makes.
There we go.
Elia, okay. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else that would make sense. Unless it was just some random person we'll find out later or something. I don't know, but or maybe they wrote it in as one of those things that,
because they're wearing Beskar, so they leave some Beskar behind. It would look like Mandalorians, but his troopers are wearing Beskar, so it's perfect.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right, there you go. I like that. All right, I'm gonna go with that one then. It was his troopers. I'm going to agree with that.
Yeah, because the follow-up question was, where did she get the Beskar? And I don't think she did.
Yep. Good call, AJ. Good call. And good question, Kale. I wondered that too. But then again, I was also kind of thinking, I was wondering, like, is this one of those things that just doesn't matter? I don't know. And part of me in that scene was kind of like, I was a little bit shocked because I was like, oh my God, they're using actual space physics. Like, they open up a hole in there and everything's frozen and everybody died. Like, you never see that in Star Wars.
Right. Right.
Like, I was like, wow, realism. So yeah, that was good. I don't know, dude. I had a point. I totally forgot what it was, but because I'm looking at Kale's next comment, he says, "I really wanted it to be Concord Dawn. That would have been a great opportunity to bring them in." Do you think that would have been too much of?
Them?
I know the name. It's a Clone Wars thing. I know that, but
yeah, it's another Mando faction. There's a bunch of different factions. Like Bo-Katan said, they're like, we kill ourselves because we fight amongst ourselves. No one can take us down if we were all united. And that's a cool thing that they left at the end of the season was like, yeah, now they are united. So what's going to happen?
Yeah,
that's going to be pretty cool.
Well, maybe they can bring in.
They're not a player in the sequel trilogy, so they still gotta. Their fate has to be sealed at some point. So it's great that they are united, but we know that they're going to get screwed all over again. Mandos just can't catch a break.
I know. Yeah, that's. I'm trying to think if I would like it if they bring in every single.
I think Concord Dawn was the faction that ended up siding with Empire in Rebels, if I remember correctly. That was led by like Fen Rao, and there was somebody else, I forget. But basically, yeah, they were the Mandalorians who turned coat and joined the Empire instead of fighting against them.
Okay. I mean, I was trying to think if I would like the idea of having every single faction we ever mentioned like come into the show. And I don't know. I mean, it would. I guess it would be cool. It would expand the scope of the stories they could tell, but then it would almost be like, well, we're kind of just making Clone Wars live action, which I guess isn't such a bad thing. But I don't know. I mean, I guess in a way you almost kind of have to though, because if you're going to have this galaxy spanning thing with all the shows coming in and tying in this one big thing, you got to kind of bring everything you can into the storyline, and Concord Dawn would be a big part of that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go on record and say I think we see them.
Movie. Yeah, I could see that, especially as the story expands and we get towards that live action movie that's going to culminate everything. Yeah, bring all the toys into the sandbox. Why not? They seem to like to do that. So, but with the announcement of that live action movie, did that for you kind of remove some stakes to the finale of the season, since you knew that all the main characters had to survive because there's a movie coming?
No, because I didn't think they were going to kill anybody in the first place. I mean, this thing is so popular. I don't see them doing something like that at this juncture. I mean, this thing is just everybody pretty much universally loves it. I mean, the criticisms of the show are basically, well, this episode wasn't as good as some of the other ones. It's not, oh, that episode sucked, or half of this sucks.
Yeah.
So and I don't think they're at a point where you can start killing people off. And I mean, you did get Paz Vizsla killed off, so I mean they did do that. He was a popular character. But in terms of, I mean, you're not killing Grogu, you're not killing the Mandalorian. It's just not happening. So, I mean, Grogu especially, not just because of the merchandising and everything, but I mean, when you have Yoda, like, yeah, I'm 900 years old, and then this kid's like, 55 or something, where you're gonna off him, right? Like before he hits, like, I don't know, 500. Like, no, it's not gonna happen. So, I didn't think they were gonna kill anybody.
That's the struggle of this show, though, isn't it? Like, that's modern studio right there. Is they're not going to kill off anybody who's printing them cash, like Kale says. They'll never kill Grogu. Disney likes money. So so the audience is smart enough to know who's safe. So how do you put stakes in a show when you know that they're basically invincible?
I think, well, to me, it's not difficult because we know there's something bigger going on. There's that specter of, the cloning thing, which we know Palpatine's doing cloning. So there's something bigger going on than just Moff Gideon. So, I mean, the stakes are the stakes are there. It's kind of like Bad Batch season 2, where I thought they kind of took away that concern of where's Crosshair. Like in the first season, after he was like, F you, I'm good soldiers follow orders, and he was always trying to track him down. They'd be out on an adventure, on one of those, hunts for Syl or whatever. And you're like, okay, is Crosshair just going to pop out and whack one of them? Like, you never knew. And I think they kind of took that away in the second season because they didn't show him enough. But it made it feel like there's something extra there. There's like stakes, like, oh my God, they're not just out there, playing kickball, in a field with, plants or whatever, like on that one planet. Like, no, what if Crosshair is out there? And with the Mandalorian, that there's bigger galactic implications going on. So, you've got the Resistance and the First Order looming in the future, and the Mandalorian thing, they're bringing in more Mandalorians. So, okay, what are we going to get out of that? Like, the cloning thing instantly, now we know, kind of speaks to Snoke and Palpatine. And so to me, there are always big stakes going on. And so I don't think they need to do something extreme like kill somebody. Although I did kind of think they were going to kill Axe Woves when he was like piloting the main ship in the fleet. And I thought he was just going to go down, but like, no, he blew out the window and shot out and like jetpacked away. Like, okay, that's cool. So that was fun. But I already think there are stakes. To me, there's always stakes. I'm like, oh, what's going on elsewhere in the galaxy? Like, where's this going to go? So I think, I think they've done a good job of that, of creating a, oh my God, what's going to happen type of an atmosphere. So.
Well, speaking of what's going on in the rest of the galaxy, we got some updates on the Republic, and not Tim Russ. Come on, who's the guy, the comedy actor dude? He was the officer in the New Republic in episodes. I forget the guy's name. Anyway,
I don't know who are you talking about?
Another of those celebrity cameos. Come on, it's the guy from Walk Hard who's like, you don't want no part of this shit.
Oh, Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows. Yeah, Tim Russ. Tim Russ plays Tuvok on Star Trek. Sorry, crossing franchises there.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, Tim Meadows popping in there and basically like all of that New Republic stuff, kind of showing that they're really kind of inept, aren't they?
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, does that help explain kind of more about Episode 7 and how there really wasn't any pushback to the First Order from the New Republic? Do you like this idea that basically the rebels took down the Empire and then completely screwed up setting up a new government?
Well, I mean, that's what the Resistance was there for, wasn't it? I mean, the whole storyline was Leia butting heads with the New Republic, and she was kind of the leader of the Resistance because she thought they weren't doing enough. Mm-hmm. So I mean that would make sense to me,
because they were all like, we don't want to be the Empire, so we can't act the way they did. And she's like, well, somebody's got to stand up to these people.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, they're basically such pacifists. Like they're so intent on doing it opposite from how the Empire did it that they're kind of wussies and they're going to get walked on type of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, what do
think
we
the
know
show
about
would
the New
get there,
Republic
like-
anyway?
Yeah, right. That's the thing. Like, did you think the show was going to get there? Like, when it started off, it just seemed like a little, space western about this guy, and very gunslinger style. And I never really thought that they were going to try to start laying the foundation to explain the situation, the state of affairs in the galaxy by the time Episode 7 rolled around, because it's still like 25 years off at this point. Although there's a couple year gap apparently between seasons 2 and 3, so it's more like 20 years now. But still, did you ever think that we were going to get to this point where this show about this one lone dude was going to end up like talking about cloning and the First Order and the Republic and all this sort of stuff?
I didn't. I think the only inclination that I had was when Grogu, they were trying to do all that medical stuff on him. Because I mean, the assumption is he looks like Yoda, so he's got to be Force sensitive. I think all of us thought that. If he looks like Yoda, he's got to be like Yoda.
Which is damn racist,
It's racial profiling.
Right.
But yeah,
short, green, big ears. Oh, he's got the Force.
He's got, that guy's got the Force.
I'm an accountant.
Yeah. I run a laundromat, dude. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I never saw it going that way. Although, again, like the medical stuff with Grogu kind of made me wonder, and again, we had kind of heard whispers of cloning or something like that during that first season. And, and also, honestly, dude, like they have this stuff written out so far in advance that we don't, maybe they already had 6 seasons written when this first season came out. But I really wonder if it wasn't a case of the show being so wildly popular that they're like, oh my God, we can use this as a springboard for other stuff. Like maybe they changed a lot of the writing after that first season to kind of, dip their toes into deeper waters because of the popularity the show achieved. I mean, that could very well be as well.
I could totally see that. Yeah, like they might have had rough ideas of what they could do with it. Let's face it, the show in general was such a moonshot of an idea to just introduce a new character in an unexplored timeline, and here's another Yoda. Like, they were really, really hoping that they were going to have a hit on their hands, but they couldn't possibly have predicted that the entire franchise would hinge on the success of this show, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool because, yeah, we're getting a ton more Star Wars, and it's all based around this, and these guys are going to the movies, which is, I can't wait to see that. As much as I love the visuals on this show, we've talked about this, these Disney Plus shows are definitely like, it is easy to see the volume now. Because they've done such a good job of hyping up it, that they're using it, you're like, oh, I can see exactly where that is now. So I can't wait to see this stuff, these visuals with movie budget, so they can actually be in places instead of in front of a giant LED screen.
See, I don't have a problem with the volume. By the way, Joseph Friend agrees with us. He says, agreed. They likely have outlines for so many seasons now that they have to come up with filler on the fly. Yeah, I agree with that, Joe. It's in terms of the volume, I really don't get it. I mean, I really don't get it. Like why people, I could totally tell that's this. Like, just, do we have to do that every time there's a new technology in Star Wars? Do we have to shit on it? Or can we just not go, oh my God, this looks even better than the last great Star Wars I got? I'm so over that. This excuse me, the CG in the prequels was crappy. Shut up. And then this whole thing was
this stuff you never would have seen if they had to build it practically. So yeah.
I mean, it looks amazing.
It made the show, and
yeah,
with the volume, they could not have done this show without the volume.
Yep.
The same with the Obi-Wan series, and yeah, I get it. It has its place for sure. But to say that it looks as good as if they had a movie budget, come on, that can't be true. So.
It still looks damn good to
we
me.
Already have proof on Disney. Yeah, it does look damn good, but we already have proof on Disney Plus, because you compare Andor to this, and the look of Andor is vastly superior in its, I hate to say realism in a entirely fictional show, but they're in a place, and you can tell that they are in that place. They're not in front of a screen that is projecting an image of that place. And I don't know why it is, but you can feel it when you watch the shows side by side.
It's also
totally do. You got to admit that.
It's also infinitely more visually boring. Hey, here's a sandy building. Here's a sandy street. Hey, here's a sandy room. Or you got the Empire. I mean, there's not a,
that's trade-off.
So it's, I'll take the stuff in Mando where there's a whole bunch more, there's a lot more to see. For example, Kale bringing up Salad the Hutt, the Pirate King.
Dude, he was cool.
Yeah, it was like kind of like really Davy Jones.
Talk about like one of those. Yeah, talk about one of those like weird designs that only Star Wars get away with, right? Like he's a pile of moss. What the hell is scary about that? And you're like, well,
yeah,
he's a pirate, so yeah, he's scary now.
Yeah, the only character design I think I really had a problem with were those things that were jumping out at him on the Mines of Mandalore, because they looked like creatures out of that Where the Wild Things Are book. So that was really my only concern. I was like, yeah, I don't know. What is that? What are those? So I didn't really care for that. But Salad the Hutt, no problem at all.
Mm-hmm. And
I thought I'm with you. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, and the one pirate that survived. The one pirate that survived is showing up Ahsoka, so that was actually laying the groundwork for another show right there.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of surprising, but yeah, he didn't seem like a sort of character that was important enough to bring into another show, but hell, I guess he is. So we'll see that dude again.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
He'll be the hero of the 4th season. That's what they'll do. They'll just make him a beast.
Have they actually confirmed that they're doing a 4th season?
I had to look that up because obviously the wipe at the end of the season finale for season 3 made it look like the show was over. But no, they said
like
no. They haven't. I think they're in the writing process for season 4, and Filoni and Favreau said they're going to keep doing it as long as they can. So.
Oh, okay. So they're going to let stuff like Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew fill the void in this time period while they get to work on future seasons.
Yeah.
And the movie, whenever that's coming out. I thought that was weird that they didn't actually say when it was coming out, because it seems like, if they're going to announce it, they've already got these shows plotted to culminate at some point, so they should know where in the calendar they're going to be dropping that,
Well, we know Ahsoka's later this year, and isn't Skeleton Crew and Acolyte are both next year?
Mm-hmm. Acolyte is not in this time period, though.
No, it's hundreds of years ago or whatever it is. Joe, will you shut up? Don't tell him to do that. Joe's like, turn your mic up even more. Like, dude, no. On the fly, no.
Like Kylo Ren, more.
Yeah, more. Oh, excellent choice.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to run through the episodes real quick and just get rapid fire, because we were talking about how to piece together the season, right? So I've got the episodes pulled up here on Wikipedia. We can go through them rapid fire, like I said, just to see like thoughts and then like where did it get us in the season, right? So Chapter 17, The Apostate, season premiere. We know it's basically a giant turtle crocodile thing attacks the Mandalorians on the beach. Good premiere. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it all. It's just, I mean, going episode by episode. I mean, for me, you're just gonna, I liked it, or I like this one better. It just depends on which one is more filler to me.
I like seeing Navarro like thriving. That was one of the cool parts, because you see that progression from season to season. He goes back there every season, and it's a little better than it was before.
Yeah.
So that was cool, and you got the whole thing of I-11 and what happened to him, and we got the Andalans.
Yeah, we got Babu Frick.
That was outstanding. The only thing better than Baby Yoda or Babu Frick is putting Baby Yoda and Babu Frick in the same friggin' room. That was a stroke of genius.
Well,
Okay,
when we
so,
saw the
sorry, go ahead.
no, when we saw the footage at Celebration, and we knew there was going to be a room of Babu Fricks, I was sold.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't do the voice very well. They got the same actress though who did the voice of Babu Frick, which was awesome.
As well, they should.
Squeezy, bad baby.
Yeah, we put on the
awesome.
the subtitles the other night. It was awesome.
Okay, so then the second episode of the season, The Mines of Mandalore, that's Din just like finds the mines and takes a bath. So too soon? Or
No, get it out of the way.
Get that out of the way and move on with the story. Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Get out of the
nice
way.
to see R5D4 being a hero, huh?
I like that part a lot.
Yeah, that was really cool. But that did have the where wild things are creatures like you were talking about. So that was a bit unfortunate, but that's okay. And we get the mythosaur. So that was cool. Chapter 19, The Convert. Now this is the Dr. Pershing episode. I think we both agreed that this was a weird left turn for the season, right?
Yeah, I still don't understand like why it was necessary. Cool episode, very cool.
Yeah.
I like that it was really long. I wish they would do that more. If you're only going to give me 8 episodes, don't give me like, a 30-minute episode. Like stop that shit because there's 6 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's the one that is most transparently setting up something else because it didn't have any bearing on what happened with Mandalorian story this season. So, yeah, we'll see how that pays off in the future. But all I can think of is like that was just Kane and Gideon wrapping up loose ends because Pershing does know a lot of what was going on there, and they didn't want that information falling into the Republic's hands. So they're like, all right. Get him out of the way. Good looking popsicles on croissant, though. That was cool.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'll get thumbs up.
They got
for the
cool
glowy
lights in them.
popsicles. Yeah. All right. So chapter 20, The Foundling. This is the one with the paintball match to start off the show, and Kid
that was
gets
cool.
Nabbed, you were saying.
Yeah, I mean the paintball thing was
that
cool.
Was really cool too, actually. Yeah, I was like, how the hell is Grogu going to fight this guy? And he's like, oh, just until he's distracted and shoot him 3 times. Okay.
Yeah, that was I like that one.
That was good.
The bird part was
Grogu
completely
gets
pointless. Yeah, Grogu gets the bling, and we also see how he's extracted during Order 66, which is cool. And the bird part was totally pointless.
Yeah, and it's when Bo-Katan tells the armor that she saw the mythosaur.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I understand the bird thing.
crucial.
The bird thing is like, oh, well, now we've got trust because you saved my son, so now I'm going to go help you fight. So, okay, I guess I understand that, but I think that could have been done in a way.
A lot of these episodes, now that I'm reading through them, a lot of these episodes, they have like their own story of the week, and then they like tack on this little nugget that ties to the larger story. Like that was, let's go rescue the kid from the dinosaur bird, and then at the end, it's like, oh, by the way, Bo-Katan talked to the armorer about something super important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Had nothing to do with the rest of the episode, but it's good that we got that information. So, chapter 21, The Pirate. And this is when the pirates come back to Navarro, and the Mandalorians have chased them off. So that was good. And that's when, that's when Bo-Katan gets sworn into the Children of the Watch. So
I liked
weird.
it.
And
I
then,
thought it was cool.
Oh, and here's the stinger at the end. They find Moff Gideon's shuttle, and they find the Beskar inside.
Mm-hmm.
Again, nothing to do with the episode whatsoever, but let's get that last little bit of information in there to tie into the larger story.
Yep.
Chapter
was good.
22, Guns for Hire. This one was the Jack Black and Lizzo episode.
Is that Lizzo?
That's Lizzo. Yep.
I have no idea who that person is. I just know that she's a supposed musician or something. I had no idea.
She doesn't play. She's not our style of music, that's for sure.
Well, By
the way, one thought I had on Christopher Lloyd: if they ever want to do a live action 99, That guy.
Oh my
That
God,
guy
yeah.
looks like 99 from the Clone Wars. Holy crap.
Yeah, he does.
That also means he looks like shit. Like he's gonna die soon, I think.
I don't know about that. He's just he aged. That's all.
He definitely aged. But yeah, I think that was all about just getting Bo-Katan to get the Darksaber back. Which again was one of those scenes where I'm like, okay, so we think there's this big, collision happening between Din Djarin and Bo-Katan because she's all about that Darksaber and he's got the Darksaber. Has to be one in combat. So we're like, they're gonna fight at some point. Like, that's gonna be the big conflict of this season. And then he's like, well, actually, if you look at it like this, like someone beat me and then she beat something, so she technically gets the Darksaber now, right? Like, here you go. Like, oh, you can just explain it away.
You
Okay,
can
no
have
fighting
it.
required. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, kind of lame. It's like that one to me was like the writers went, shit, we've got to do something about this. What can we do?
How are we gonna explain this one?
It's like wrestling this week. Like Roman Reigns has had both titles like 1,000 days, and the whole question is like, how the hell are they going to split these up? Who's going to take it off of him? And then they're like, well, we're doing a draft next week, so whichever show he ends up on, he's going to leave the other belt on the other show, and it'll be vacant until someone claims it. Like, you didn't know how this was going to resolve, did you? Like, you started this plot line and had no idea where it was going. I feel like the Darksaber was kind of like that too. Like, okay, so Bo-Katan's got the Darksaber now. Then we get chapter 23, The Spies. So now we're in basically the 2-part finale, right?
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, obviously this is the reappearance of Moff Gideon for sure. And Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians are all kind of coming together. And they end up finding the Imperial base on Mandalore. Did you like that twist? Did you like where Gideon was hiding was like right on Mandalore?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I thought
it was,
that was.
it was kind
of like tell everybody the planet is poisoned and set up shop there. Like,
yeah,
brilliant.
I always thought it was really funny that they didn't even nobody checked either. Oh, the planet's poison.
Right.
Oh, okay, well, just don't go there.
Yeah.
Should we check it? Should we check it out? No, it's poison.
Nah.
For all those years, yeah. You could trust that guy.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The Empire's never lied to us.
Yeah.
And we get the IG-11 Grogu mech. Come on,
Yep.
huge ups for that one. That was amazing.
Yep.
And they did call back too. Like the Ancellans wanted nothing to do with Grogu after
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That was fantastic. So good. Oh my god. Yeah, and then of course, it ends with the cliffhanger because they're all trapped in the base and looks like everybody going to die.
Yep.
So yeah, that was pretty good. And then we get the finale where, Gideon lays out his plan and everything. Wait a minute. Was it? I think it was the second to last episode where we got the council, right? Of all the Imperials. So we heard about Project Necromancer, and we got Hux's dad talking, and the Thrawn.
I was waiting
name
for you to
drop,
bring
and
up Hux.
Pelion and
Yep.
like,
Pelion was the one that got
that's
me. I was
cool,
like,
man.
ooh. Yep. They brought a lot of stuff into that.
Yeah, but the pace definitely changed, right? Like you had that previous episode with Jack Black and Lizzo, and everything's just like basically a Scooby-Doo mystery. And then
Scooby-Doo.
all of a sudden it's like, bam, here's all the Imperials. Here's the First Order in its infancy. We've got flying jet troopers now. All the Mandalorians are involved. Like, whoa, man, that was a big shift.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. They clearly set the budget with the finale, and then they figure out what they've got left for the rest of the episodes.
Right.
The finales are always huge, right? And then we get the finale. So we don't know if... Oh, sorry. Rip Paz Vizsla. That happened in the 7th episode.
Yep.
So there's that one. Praetorian Guards, though.
Praetorian Guards. Yep. I was going to mention those.
Sweet, right?
That was a cool,
Those
hey,
look
guess what's
good.
coming?
Yeah, and
Well,
they're not quite, they're doing good with the whole transitional design, too. Like, they look like Royal Guards and like Praetorian Guards. They're somewhere in between.
Well, and that's one of those
it's
things
like
that kind of...
Gideon's Beskar troopers. Same thing, where it's like First Order-ish, but not quite all the way.
Well, and that's that foreshadowing I was talking about. You've now combined cloning with Praetorian Guards, so that's some sequel trilogy stuff right there. So, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we get the finale where, obviously everybody lives, and the Mandalorians have Mandalorian, and you get that last scene with Din just chilling on his little hut
On his front porch, yep.
on Navarro. Yep. And Grogu levitating a frog. The kid will not stop fucking with frogs. Luke should have trained him to, have more respect for wildlife, really. He's just cruel. It's like pulling the wings off of flies,
Yes. All right.
Now, here we go.
So
Kale says, Praetorian guards that aren't magically disarmed when they stab someone in the back. Take notes, Arian. That makes more sense now that he's corrected it to Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah, he means Ryan, yeah. All right, so overall thoughts, and before we get out of here, what are your overall thoughts for the season? Me personally, I loved it. I thought it was great. Not the strongest of the 3 seasons, but I still love it. I love the bringing Bo-Katan back, seeing the Mandos kind of get reestablished. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I'll agree with you that it is the weakest of the 3, but that's, if you're rating the original trilogy, you've got to say one is the worst, which is still a high bar. So yeah, it's still entertaining as hell. But I think this season more than the others definitely works better on a binge. Like the week to week, when you get these seemingly non sequitur episodes, you're like, why did they waste 1/8 of the season on this? Makes a lot more sense if you get it all as one whole body of work.
I did forget a lot of what was going on because the story jumped around. So I found myself rewatching it going, oh, crap. Oh, yeah, that happened. Oh, wait, huh? Oh, yeah, that happened. Because you're like trying to like follow like 3 different plot threads going, wait, what the hell's going on here? So, yeah, that was interesting. But, yeah, overall, I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, I haven't had anything in 3 seasons where it's like cringeworthy or, oh, that's so cheesy, like eye roll. No, all of it has been good to me.
Mm-hmm. I do like that we ended with an actual finale instead of a big cliffhanger like we got used to in the first, second seasons, because we're not going to see these characters for a little while. They're, like I said, they didn't even have season 4 started. So it's nice to not have some big cliffhanger and then be like, we'll see you in 3 years when you get the next season. Like, no, it's good. Like we kind of put them to the side now, and now we can gear up for Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew, and we can get involved with all of that until we have more Mandalorian to watch.
Yeah.
For once, I actually like not having a cliffhanger and having something to look forward to, because it's just going to be too long before they pay it off anyway.
2025 at least. It's another 2-year thing.
Yeah, like we're so spoiled. We're talking like 2 years is too long. Like, remember when it used to be 3 years between movies, except when it was 16?
Yeah.
So we're so spoiled.
Well, on that note,
All
why
right.
don't we close up shop for the evening here? So thanks, everybody, for dealing with the tech issues at the beginning of the show. Sorry about that. Still don't know why StreamYard deleted 2 of the broadcasts. But we're here. We made it through the show, so that's good. We will be right back here in 2 weeks. It will be, let me think, it will be, what will it be?
May 10th.
Yeah, May 10th. Okay. Yeah, 1 week after your birthday. So Wednesday, May 10th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Facebook and YouTube. As always, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to click that like button and click that subscribe button and smash the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download, and you can get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. So until next time, I am your host JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He is AJ.
My brother's way better at the outro than I am.
And we will catch you on the next one.
See you guys.